And then this is probably in the late 1800s. This is when lynching was at its highest. And what people used to do is, in the small town, they would send out wires and telegrams saying that, you know, after church on Sunday, we're going to have a lynching. So bring your family and enjoy the event. And as they had these lynchings afterwards, they used to cut off pieces of the people that were lynched as souvenirs. I'm sorry, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I have a question, because I've heard this for so long, and maybe you might know the answer to it. Picnic.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that was, that came from lynching since back in the 1800s. Like when you said they would leave church and go have a lynching, I was told that they would leave church and go have a picnic, which stood for pickaninnies, so they can string them up and hang them. So once I heard that so many years ago, it just, you know, I don't use the word anymore. It just infuriates me. Is that true?
You know, I don't know. I've heard that too. I've heard that for decades.
Yeah, so have I.
And it very well may be true, but one of the dangerous things about living in a society that was built and maintained on white supremacy and racial superiority is that when there's this old saying that if a lie is told enough times, it becomes truth.
Oh, yeah.
So even if that term picnic originated the way you explained,
Like
if people denied it long enough, because I remember years ago I was working, the place I was working, a social service agency, we had this yearly event where we would go to Seward Park and barbecue, what was traditionally known as a picnic.
Right.
And one of the, my coworkers said, no, we can't call this a picnic anymore,
right,
because this is what it stood for.
Symbolize.
And somebody else said, no, that's not where the term picnic came from. It's actually a German word that means something else. Now, he could never produce proof that that's where the word picnic originated from, but that's part of that thing that produces stress, because you're, not you personally, but a person, that woman that raised that point, she was left in the position of seeming like she was overly sensitive, that she was crazy, that she was, what do you call it, conspiracy theorist or something like that, which produces that stress, isolates you, and makes your coworkers think, man, something's wrong with her. Why can't she just roll with the, you know, roll with the flow? But that very well could be true. Another good example of that is a Willie Lynch speech. And since we don't have many people in here, I'm going to give everybody a copy of this book. We have the Willie Lynch speech in that book. And Willie Lynch was a slave trader in, I think it was about 1712 on the river banks in Virginia somewhere. He was talking to a bunch of slave owners. And he was telling them, he said, I notice you're having problems. The slaves are revolting, they're running away, they're engaged in these work slowdowns and things like that. Why have a fail-proof strategy where you can control your slaves for generations? In fact, they will control themselves for up to 300 years, which is why some people say, man, I don't know if that was a real speech or not, because 300 years is about now. So there have been instances where some frustrated, and that thing is driving me crazy. Some frustrated brother or sister, or even a white person that knew accurate history, wrote something and to kind of inspire or incite anger or action. So there's some that say that Willie Lynch speech never originated in 1712. It was something that somebody put together in the 1960s, knowing where things were and where things were headed, to try to spur us into action. But that's another example like that word picnic.